Good morning. Happy April, whatever day this is, 27th. We are happy to have you with us. I'm Susan Katzman, and my sister in crime here is Lisa Gubernick, and she'll introduce herself when she comes on. This is our 11th coffee talk. So we are really excited about this, and we are so excited for you to meet our guest this morning. A couple of quick things, just a reminder, we have a lot of returning people and we have a lot of new people on this morning. And this coffee talk was designed 11 months ago and envisioned by Lisa as a membership event, an opportunity for NCJW to connect with its members and potential new members. And we really have had a lot of success in getting some new members from Coffee Talk and keeping everybody else engaged. In fact, Lisa and I had a conversation yesterday about how we would handle things when all of us were much more back out into the world, if we would still continue Coffee Talk. And right now the answer is yes, but we would love to get your thoughts and opinions on that. What's been important to us in our work with Coffee Talk is to bring people to you who are interesting, who are doing creative things or have done creative things with their lives, and particularly people who have made a difference in the world. All of you asked us to keep it light and easy, and particularly when we got started, we were in the middle of elections and politics, and we were asked to stay away from those topics, so we have. Also, you may note we have a great sponsor. We are now sponsored by the St. Louis Community Credit Union, and so we love having them on board and love having them have some faith in our work. So settle back and relax, and we've got a great lady for you to meet today, Allie Hogan. I don't want to say too much because I want to make my first question to Allie to tell us about her background. But I know many of you have heard of Rung for Women. Many of you have not. Many of you know about Rung, the resale shop that existed, particularly for women. So let's dig into Allie, and I'm going to let Allie tell us about her. So Allie, welcome. We're so glad you're with us. Tell us about your background and a little bit about your upbringing in St. Louis.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to listen to me. It's still weird to me that people want to hear my story. It's weird when you get to this place in your life. So I don't know how much any of you know about me, but I was raised here in St. Louis. I am a part of the Enterprise Rent-A-Car family. My grandfather started Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We are a family of mostly women. We have not had a male born into my family. We've had 16 women since our last male. The last male is actually my Uncle Andy. And since then it's been all women. I have a sister, and then I have 3 female cousins, and life was good. The success of Enterprise, it's always been a successful company, but in my lifetime, I've seen it grow a lot. And my grandfather was such an interesting, wonderful guy, but for him, the love of St. Louis and making St. Louis the greatest that it can be was sort of his life mission. And he used to tell me all the time that back in the time of the World's Fair, it was LA, New York, and St. Louis. St. Louis was one of the top cities in the country. And we've had our issues. And so he always made it a point to figure out how to get ourselves into the community that we live in and love. So when I was 10, I'm the baby. Well, not anymore, but I was the baby. And when I was 10, my grandfather started a small foundation for my sister, myself, and my 3 cousins. And we would have to meet 4 times a year, and we'd have to dress up, and we would have to come and sit down with him, and we would have to present him with organizations in St. Louis that we cared about. And we would have to ask him for, he would have to sign off on any donations we made. And, they were small amounts in the beginning, but the idea behind it was just that we would actually learn about the organizations around here and figure out where our passions were. I've always been passionate about women and children and animals. Animals is a big thing for me. So we would have to come and present. And that was really my first introduction to nonprofits in St. Louis. And so we continued that for years. And he just kept putting more money into the foundation, and our requests got bigger. And so it really was a great learning experience. And I went to college in Virginia. I went to James Madison. And then I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I moved to Hawaii, and I was a server at the Cheesecake Factory, which I highly recommend that anyone work in the service industry at some point, because it's a humbling experience for sure. And then when I came home, I sort of just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I dabbled in a couple things, but it just didn't feel right. And then I sort of just woke up and realized that nonprofits were going to be that was going to be my lane. So I got this idea about Rung Boutique because, clearly I grew up in a business family. And so all of the women in my family have all these business suits and this very conservative attire. And so we all me and my sister and my cousin sat around, had a cocktail, and thought, wouldn't it be fun if instead of just donating all of our clothes to Goodwill, we actually put them in a place where, women could come together, but you're also shopping for interviews or whatever. You're basically dressing for the job you want. And everybody was pretty busy at the time, except for me. So, off and running I was. And so when I opened the boutique, it was definitely more business focused. But as the years went by, companies don't require the kind of dressing up that they used to. Things have gotten much less conservative. And to be honest, every job a woman has is a job. So whether you're a mom or whether you're, a part-time something, or you're a teacher or whatever it may be. So then we sort of expanded our inventory to all kinds of clothing. And then we opened the kids store for a while. But the whole time we tried to make it a community where women could come and just hang out. It was a place to come and get a good opinion from somebody. It was a place to bring your kids. We would do yoga. We would do Spanish classes. We would do all these really fun things. And then we started inviting some organizations in St. Louis that are helping women in crisis. So Lydia's House Crisis Nursery. And we would invite them to come in on a Sunday when the store was closed, and we would basically give their women a day of shopping. We would bring in somebody to do makeup or, massages or whatever it might be, because these women, more often than not, had never experienced something for just them. They had never been shopping. They had never, been given anything. And so those were definitely the most emotional days for us. But when we would talk to these women, they would say that, I'm living in this transitional housing situation for 2 years, and the 2 years is meant to get them out of crisis and get them to a more stable place. But there really wasn't anything for them when they left. St. Louis offers these sorts of this help, but it's all very scattered and chaotic. And you get help with this here, and you get help with that there, and it became sort of just a tough process for them. And most of the government paid organizations, it was really just about casework. So it was like the women would come in and they would just be told what to do, and that's what they would do. And there wasn't a whole lot of emotion in it, and there wasn't a whole lot of safety in it. So at the time, I heard from one of my board members about this organization in Cincinnati, who does this very co-located, integrated business where they have one building and then they have multiple organizations within the building that offer multiple services. So the idea behind it was that it would sort of be a one-stop shop. And I loved that idea. And so I went out there 5 or 6 times and I realized where I wanted it to be different, but I also loved the foundation of what they were doing. So I hired EMD here in St. Louis to do some research about what would it take for women, what services would women need in order to get them to sustainable independence, a family sustaining wage. And the end goal being they're in a career. They're in a career that offers them growth. They're in a career that offers them work-life balance. They're in a career that offers them benefits. But you can't just take anybody and put them in a job and expect them to fit in and understand everything. So what are the skills they require in order to get them to that place? So then we figured out that financial education, mental health for sure, physical health, all of these things were required to get them to a confident place, to an educated place, to just a place of feeling safe. And so I just started talking to some of the nonprofits that I had previous relationships with at the boutique, like Safe Connections. And, then I met with Prosperity, and, it was surprisingly easy to get these organizations on board. And I knew that the only way it could work for them was if I funded the project, because they can't afford to just hire another person and spare all of their manpower. So that was kind of the deal. Like, trust me, I know this is a bit of an experiment, but trust me that I'm going to make this work. And so we brought on 8 co-designers, which is what they choose to be called, instead of partners. And they have now been with me for 3 years, and they helped me build this organization, because what I want to do is I want to be in charge of the building. I want to be in charge of recruiting the members. And I want to be in charge of the coaching, which we've now figured out is the best way to get these women on their path. Coaching is such a far away concept for this demographic. It seems like an extra. So the idea behind it is that when you come to Rung, it's kind of like a college feel. You get set up with a coach, and that coach sort of narrows down what all of this means, helps you figure out what you want, what you're good at, what are you passionate about, and then helps you come up with your plan and your agenda, your personal agenda. And they're sort of your touch point, they're your accountability partner. So it sort of makes this very big and complicated process much more manageable. So those were the things I wanted to worry about. And then I wanted to find these co-designers to come in and do the one thing they did the best. And that's what we asked them. We're like, we don't want you to come in and do everything. We want you to come in and do the one thing that you're the best at. And it took a lot of time to get everybody in the same room, get everybody to know each other, get comfortable. This is a foreign concept. This whole idea of collaboration is relatively new, but it is necessary. And, so we got Family Care Health Center to come in and do the clinic, which was huge because healthcare is certainly an issue on many levels. So we basically have it set up in pillars. So you've got your health and wellness pillar, which is the clinic, it's the gym, it's nutrition. We have a full commercial kitchen to help women learn about cooking and how to buy food and, sort of easier ways to eat healthier. We have the career pillar, which is all kinds of career training. It's soft skills. So things like negotiating your pay, dealing with interoffice conflict, how to dress appropriately. And then we've partnered with a bunch of employers and educators to sort of tell us what employers are telling us what they're looking for. Educators are telling us how they can educate. So we have that. We have the financial pillar, which is where prosperity comes in, because none of this matters if you don't know how to manage your money. So that's kind of where we are now. And we have just welcomed our first class of women. We have 106 currently. They are in their initial 6 months of coaching, which is something we require of all of our members. And in the process, they're using the gym. They can bring their kids in. The kids can hang out and child watch. We're providing them with meals. So really it's about getting rid of all the barriers that might keep them from doing something like this. And so that's kind of what's been happening in the last month, just getting everybody comfortable and get them to understand the building. And so that's kind of where we are. And my plan going forward is to start expanding Rung into other cities in the United States based on, there's so many cities that are similar to St. Louis. So that's kind of our plan going forward, because we just want this idea to spread.
Okay, that was a mouthful. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. I want to go back a minute. Did you ever work at Enterprise?
I did an internship at Enterprise in the communications department. I never worked in rental.
So you never ran around and got the cars and washed them? And
no.
I love the idea that your grandfather had of having all of you come together and what you said, meet 4 times a year and talk about things that you would support, places that you would put your money and your energy. Those are great lessons.
Yeah.
To give, young people at a young age.
Well, and I didn't think it was really that unique at the time, but then when I would go to school and talk about it and everyone's going, I don't understand, what's a foundation? I don't understand what you're talking about. So for me, it was just normal. It was just that was our duty as a successful business family in the city. It is our job to give back.
That's beautiful. Not everybody gets that kind of background and orientation and so forth. So I think it's very unique and really cool. I also want to talk just a little bit more about Rung, your shop, because as you know, we too have a very successful resale shop. In the end, do you feel that you accomplished the goals that you set out for Rung as your resale shop before you closed it?
Yeah, I remember meeting with you all when you were planning your resale shop, which is so funny. It just feels like so long ago. I think I closed the shop because I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't giving back enough. Retail is really hard, which you all know. And I felt like I was getting caught in sort of the minutia of the day-to-day. And we weren't able to go bigger because we weren't making the money that would help us go bigger. So for me, I was spending too much time dealing with, silly drama and, people not doing what they were supposed to do or not showing up for work, or it felt like my time was not being used the way that I wanted it to be used. And it was so fun. And we met so many cool people. But I just was ready to do something more.
What do you do now if you have women at Rung who need clothing?
We actually send them to you. I was
hoping that was your answer.
Well, since we closed the shop, we've gotten 1,500 emails from women wanting to know where they can donate or where they can shop. And we always send them to you. So, I mean, it's logical to me. You all do a great job and your shop is amazing.
Jessica is on this, so I know she's happy to hear you say that. Why don't we, Brooke, show the KMOV clip about Rung, and then we'll come back to the conversation, Allie.
Amy, you're the best journalist we have. I need something now.
I've been investigating young women being recruited by extremists.
This is brilliant.
Assalamu alaikum, my sister.
That was not the video.
Your type.
You're hot.
Come here.
That was not me in the video.
I guess we're having technical difficulties.
Yep, we're having some technical difficulties for just a second. Just please give us a
As we
moment.
continue navigating our way through this pandemic, women can continue taking huge hits from layoffs to increased demand of childcare. Millions have left the workforce.
Only on News 4 tonight, we're taking you to the new place in St. Louis aiming to undo those numbers and lift women up. News 4's Alexis Odos is live in South City to tell us about it. Alexis.
Well, and this has been years in the making. Rung for Women is ready to open their doors, ready to change the lives of more than 100 St. Louis women starting this week. And this is just the beginning. From broken windows in a long vacant warehouse to this, a 2-year transformation in Fox Park is ready.
I was literally in awe of this place.
Alexis Creamer is one of the first to be part of a history-making program, part of the inaugural class of members of Rung for Women.
Rung for Women is an organization that will literally help women move up the rungs on the economic opportunity ladder.
The nonprofit is bringing 9 other nonprofits under one roof, as well as childcare, healthcare, a gym, a community garden, all in addition to providing career coaching, financial planning, and professional development.
It's about convenience. It's about removing the barriers.
They'll welcome 120 members this week, a group of women from all across the St. Louis region who all make less than $50,000 a year.
Really the unsung sheroes who have been, burdening life and COVID and family and children and, social justice issues and unfair workplaces. They have been living through all of that probably for most of their lives.
3 million women have left the workforce across the country during the COVID-19 pandemic, and Rung hopes to prevent that erosion here in St. Louis. Alexis Creamer loves her job, but she's ready to learn how to grow.
So I really hope to gain stability, confidence, a sense of self-worth.
President Leslie Gill says it's not just about improving the lives of their members, but St. Louis as a whole.
We really see this as a game changer, as a life changer. We really see these women sort of moving and ascending into and beyond the middle class, making the region stronger, making the region safer.
It is a minimum 6-month intensive program, and they have so much interest for others that want to join. We have all the information. If you are interested in becoming a member, or if you're interested in volunteering here, head to this story on the KMOV News app for all that information. Live in Fox Park, Alexis Odos, News 4.
Okay, great coverage. Great coverage. Allie, let's talk a little deeper about Rung, if we could. I was extremely impressed being there. For our participants here, I wear another hat with Prosperity Connection as board chair, and Prosperity Connection provides financial literacy, and so forth. And we're one of the co-designers at Rung. So we had an opportunity for a tour. I was impressed, Allie, with your screening process for the co-designers that you pulled into Rung. Allie had a stipulation that the executive director or CEO and the board chair had to meet with Allie and with Leslie Gill, who you saw on the clip, and go through some rigorous but genuine questioning about being included and what we could offer to Rung. So you were extremely careful in, I think, the organizations you selected and the services that you wanted to be sure were offered. Did you have a laundry list of certain organizations you wanted, or how did you kind of maneuver all of that?
No, I really didn't. And Leslie, Leslie brought me to Prosperity Connections. Leslie's been a really good source of relationships, knowledge, relationships and knowledge about other nonprofits that I wasn't familiar with. So I came to the table with the ones I knew and trusted and had previous experiences with. Leslie did the same. We picked, we had an RFP process, and I would say we got all the ones we wanted. And part of that was communication. We made a lot of promises, and it was a lot of trust, but I knew that I had to back this project in order to get the organizations that I wanted to be a part of this. And luckily, at the end of the day, all the ones that I wanted got on board. And I did worry that the process was rigorous, but it had to be on so many levels. It had to be an organization that was had a really successful history. It had to be an organization that worked well with others. It had to be an organization that was willing to be flexible and really take a chance. And so lucky for me, all the ones I wanted were on board.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and I know we have questions in the chat, and Lisa, we will get to your questions in just a little bit. Lisa will handle those. So Allie, what are your goals for Rung? And I think, how will you know it's been successful?
Yeah, so we have a really intense data system that we have built through Salesforce, which, and we've been working with Washington University School of Evaluation. So they've really been helping us come up with logic models and measurements and figuring out how to describe success. And one of the things we know is that in order for this to be successful, in order for us to gain national recognition, we're going to have to prove that this works. And the only way we can do that is with numbers. So we are currently working on different ways to measure success, because these women are all coming in at different points, different ages, different incomes, different races, different where they live, all those things. So it's going to be hard to sort of find a uniform way of measuring, but we're sort of making like tick marks. So you come in and you need to do A, B, and C. Well, when you've accomplished A, then we can measure that. But the hope is that eventually we can spread Rung throughout the country. I can sort of hand people this business plan and say, this is how it works, and this is how we know it works. Because I'm ready for St. Louis to be known for something really innovative like this. Unfortunately, and fortunately for COVID, this has become an absolutely necessary place for the women in St. Louis, because it has just been crushing to our economy.
Do you see expanding in St. Louis?
I do, actually. When I did the research, we looked at a lot of different factors, and we narrowed it down to where I am now in North County. At the time, North County was coming off of everything that happened with Michael Brown. So it was pretty saturated with people coming in trying to help and create things. And at the time, I just didn't feel like they needed another thing. But I can imagine eventually putting a Rung in North County, or putting a Rung in North City, or putting a Rung out, even in a more even in the more rural areas. I wouldn't want too many in St. Louis, but I think we definitely have room for another one. Based on our response from women wanting to become members, I think we would definitely have room for another one.
So talk a little bit about the recruitment. You just started with 100 women, and are they there for 6 months? Are they there for a year? And then how did you recruit them?
So our plan is to do 2 classes a year. We call them cohorts. The idea being that you start with a group. We feel like that really helps you create relationships and connections and social capital. So we're going to be doing 2 classes a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And that will be what we do going forward. We tell women that they need to commit to this process for 3 to 5 years. Understanding that they are required to currently be employed. And so we understand that this is not going to be something they're going to have a lot of time for. So we anticipate maybe 10 hours a month, depending on what their schedules are. So because of that, it's going to be a longer process. And these are all things we talk about in the very beginning. So we did an interest application back in November, which was a very simple, short survey to figure out if they even qualified. They have to be 21. They have to have a GED or high school diploma. They have to be currently employed, and they have to be in a current stable living situation. We had over 1,000 interest applications come in, which was phenomenal. And then after that, they were required to do an info session, which was virtual, and it was really just an introduction to what we do. And then in January, they had to do a full application, which took them 1 to 2 hours to fill out. There were essays involved, any sorts of medical questions. I mean, we really asked everything. So we had 260 full applications, and then we invited 120, knowing that we would have some attrition. Our goal is to get 100 women in each class. And so what we've decided is for our fall class this year, we're going to ask the women who didn't make the cut in the first class to then join us in September. We have a lot of methodology behind what we want our classes to look like as far as ages, income, race, all those things. So we're being really intentional about the diversity of each class. So yeah, that's kind of where we had 118 accept, and we're down to 106, which we knew would happen based on really starting to understand what we're asking of you. So that's kind of where we are.
Wow. Okay. So what I'd like to do is show the animated clip we have, Brooke and Jessa. And by the way, I want to thank Brooke Wallace and Jessa Glick, our production control assistants. Let's show the clip, and then Allie, if you would walk us through this. What we really want to know is, I'm a woman in the program. What's a typical day like for me right now? So let's put the clip on, and then you can talk us through things.
Rung is a place for women who are ready to take their life to the next level. Your journey starts with a 6-month experience called Me 101. With other like-minded women, you will work with a personal coach who will help you clarify your unique vision, set bold goals, and develop your own path to holistic success, all at no cost to you. The next phase of your Rung journey is the career program. There, you will learn valuable skills and access to training and credential opportunities that ensure a fast track to a new career, or learn new ways to grow in your current field. Either way, the career program will feed your soul and your bank account. To make it more convenient to work toward your goals, Rung has brought several organizations under one roof that will offer a variety of personal development opportunities and assistance, including counseling, healthcare, nutrition education, fitness classes, yoga, mindfulness, gardening workshops, financial education. With childcare and grab-and-go meals offered on site, you will have everything you need to take the time to work on yourself. At Rung, you will be a part of a community of women like you, determined, driven, and ready to make a change. Together, the Rung community will support you in reaching your goals, and we'll have your back all the way through your journey to success.
Okay, good. So Allie, what's a typical day like?
So a typical day would be a member would come in and meet with their coach if they're in that first 6-month period. And their coach would help them to make appointments with their other, with their other co-designers. So we have required that all of our co-designers be in the building whenever our members are in the building and be available for any appointments. So they've all had to hire another person who is their Rung representative. So a woman will come in, meet with her coach, do a check-in, and then go wherever she needs to go, whether she has a therapy session, whether she wants to just come in and work out, she can do that. We have a creative community if they want to do some journaling or painting. We are also requiring that women do a 6-week customer service course. So that will be part of their day-to-day, which is really just sitting down with our career staff and going through sort of rules of engagement for working, which is sort of the soft skills stuff I talked about earlier. And so every day will probably be different for them, and they might come in multiple times in a week. They might only come in once a week. But the idea is that we're going to try to sort of bunch together their services so that they can sort of come in for 4 or 5 hours, get a bunch of the stuff done that they need to get done. And then they can leave with dinner or whatever they need for the day.
Is mental health part of what is dealt with as well?
Yeah, so mental health is a really big issue. When we did so many focus groups before this happened, and what we found a lot of is that a majority of these women have suffered trauma, and trauma has definitely been an inhibitor for them, whether it's a confidence thing, whether it's a trust thing. So Provident and Safe Connections are both providing group counseling and individual counseling to sort of work on some of those things, because none of this will work if they don't have the sort of stability and confidence that they need in order to take some of these risks. So I steal it from Leslie all the time, but the idea is that they're just surviving and we want them to be thriving. And that requires help in all of those areas in order to have an overall more successful career.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn things over to Lisa.
Thank you. Hi, if everyone doesn't know me, I'm Lisa Gubernick and I'm the VP of Membership. And so I will finish up a few questions. We always ask our special guests, who has influenced you? I'm sorry. How do you feel you made a difference in the world? And it might be your grandfather, but is there anyone else, or is it really his impact you feel?
I think he was probably the patriarch, he sort of set the tone, but my parents got divorced and my mom is a very strong, independent woman. She did not work until they got divorced, and then she had to go back to work. She started working for the foundation at Enterprise. And so I got to witness all of that. I got to witness the work-life balance. I got to witness, my mom saying to me, because at the time when she went to work at Enterprise, the job that she was put in, she was paid so much less than the person that had it before her. So I got to watch her have this fight, with her dad and her brother. It wasn't really a fight, but it was more, she had to walk into those doors with confidence and say, look, I'm going to do this job and I deserve to get paid what, the person before me was paid. So it's those little moments that I witnessed when I was growing up that made me, and she always talked to me about that stuff. It was always do whatever makes you happy, be whoever you want to be, but also be smart about it. Don't just assume that you can show up to work and get a promotion. You got to work hard. You got to prove yourself. Things take time. It's a process. I mean, all those things she taught me from an early age. So I got to witness, a strong woman in action.
That's amazing. And our other question that we always ask, and then I'll open it up to the audience to ask questions. They put a lot in our group chat, is what are you most proud of? Is it Rung? Is it your kids? Or
I mean, I'm definitely proud of my kids. My kids are wonderful. I am proud of myself for taking the chance to make this work. Luckily, I'm one of those people who tends to jump in and think later. I'm proud of myself for taking the time to do this right, because I'm not usually a process person. I like to just have things done. So I'm proud of myself for following through, which I do. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily follow through. So I am super proud of myself for the follow through.
and then what are your thoughts about St. Louis and the culture of women, specifically the nurturing of women here?
I think St. Louis is a little behind the mark on the world today. I think we're a little bit old fashioned in some of our thinking. I think we have so many families here that have been here for generations. And as great as that is, I do not think St. Louis has been wonderful in accepting change. So because of that, we're all sort of feeling that. And so I'm trying to create some innovation and hope that other people create some innovation, because the world is just different now and we all have to adjust and you can't fight it anymore. It is what it is. And so we need to get on board and be open to change.
Thank you. And now I'll read off some of the questions that our audience has put in the chat. One is from Marilyn Ratkin. You answered the first part already, is how you recruit women, but what is your biggest challenge in recruiting them?
Our biggest challenge is really getting women to understand how hard this is going to be while still feeling supported. We take an approach. So the coaching that we provide is accomplishment coaching. So it's all about them doing it for themselves. We're not doing it for them, which is a very new concept for them, for many of them. So I think when they come in and they're just looking for us to tell them what to do, and when we say to them, well, you have to tell me what you want to do, I think that's been a challenge for a lot of them. So we try to catch that early on, and try to sort of give them the backing and support they need in order to stick it out.
And then Marlene Hammerman mentioned, we do have something similar to what you talked about in your Rung resale shop, in that we have a project renewal program at NCJW where women come in and they can go through a series of sessions similar to the things that you did at your resale shop. Is there any way that we could maybe collaborate with Rung now?
Yeah, absolutely. We are open to collaborating with whoever. We're always looking for, we call them visiting partners, visiting co-designers, which is really not like you're not living in the building with us necessarily, but you're coming in and providing services. So yeah, absolutely. I think, and I've heard of that before. So I definitely think there's room for us to collaborate on that.
That would be fantastic. And Diane Friedman said, do the women come in with jobs, or you're basically trying to help them find jobs through?
So we do require they currently be employed. We don't care what the employment is. We just need to know that if they're not making any money, they don't have time to do what we're doing. We call it a family system. We don't use the term living wage because living wage is not high enough. We call it a family sustaining wage. Mm-hmm. So while it might be a struggle for them, if they have 2 part-time jobs, we are asking them to quit one in order to do this. And we understand that that's a struggle. So we can provide them with quicker certifications, especially in the technology area, if they need something right now while they're working on something more long-term. But we are asking them to currently be employed, but also have the time to come in and do this work.
Okay. And then Ellen Apper asked, how would you suggest we pass on the act of philanthropy to the next generation, similar to what your grandfather did for you?
Yeah, this is a really tough one for me. I know parents who take their small children to homeless shelters and food pantries because they want them to see sort of how the other side lives. I struggle because I want my kids to be kids and I want them to not be afraid of things. So finding the right balance between educating them and it being too much is a very hard balance. So for me, it's about discussions and explaining how not everybody has what you have and you're just going to have to learn to do without sometimes. And I love to bring my kids up to Rung. They don't see that there are people of different races at Rung. To them, Rung is just a place where women go and they bring their kids and everybody plays. So I agree that that's a challenge that I'm still working on. But we do this thing every year at Christmas where we go to Walmart and I give them $100 bills and then they get to choose. And then we just find people at Walmart and we give them money. And it's, not everybody thinks that's a great thing to do, but for me, it's just fun for the girls to pick. So they always pick a mom with kids. They always do, which is fine. But I just try to do those little things that teach them how to give.
That's great. And then the second part of her question, she had something, instead of going to another person, she had a second question, which was, how is Rung funded?
Rung is funded solely by me. This is my legacy. So I have put everything into it. My plan is to fund it solely for 3 years. And then we're already talking with the Rome group, working on a fundraising plan going forward. But I would like to wean myself off. It also helps because the tax rules right now are difficult just because I'm the sole funder. So yeah, that's my plan. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if we're going to be doing group fundraising. I don't know if we're going to be requiring that all of our co-designers kick in something. I'm not really sure. So right now we're really working on going after the bigger foundations in the country to see if we can come up with some sort of plan with them.
Okay. And Nancy Bobrow, you touched on this. How do you deal with mental health issues?
So we've been doing a lot of training about, we are trying to anticipate things that are going to happen. You get an abusive boyfriend who shows up, you get a panic attack, you get some sort of, mental health is an issue and a lot of it is undiagnosed. And so one thing we're being really mindful of in our clinic is that if our coaches sense that there is a sort of undiagnosed issue, we will ask them to go to the clinic and get an evaluation and see where they are. But in the meantime, we are doing training for sort of, what's the word they use? Sort of, I'm totally losing my words. So if there's an issue that comes up, like there's an argument between members or whatever, we are all being trained as an entire staff to de-escalate those kinds of situations. And it's going to be kind of a case-by-case thing if somebody is a repeat offender. But yeah, no, it's a real problem.
Well, at least you have something on staff there to hopefully handle situations that arise. Diana Fine asked, what is the age range of your current class at Rung?
So the majority of our class now is actually 30 to 40. We try to, the minimum age is 21, but we actually have a couple members that are in their 50s. So we want to get the biggest range we can, but we also understand, because we went back and forth between whether it be 18 or 21. We just don't think an 18-year-old has the maturity to do this work. So we don't really have a cap on our age. But interestingly enough, most of our class right now is in their 30s.
That is interesting. And then Nancy Bobrow asked another question. She said, would you share your work-life balance and how old your children are?
Yeah, so I have 2 daughters. They're 6 and 4. I am recently divorced, so being a single mom has been a new thing for me. You know, luckily I have a little more time to put into Rung because I only have them half the time. But it also means that when I do have them, then that's my priority. Work-life balance for me is one of the things I know is that I have to hire people who are really good at what they do so that I then can have a better work-life balance. So the team that's in place at Rung, and Leslie Gill, who's my president, are amazing people, and we really support each other. And, you know, yesterday at work, I had a moment where I got teary. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's hormonal. I don't know if it was just one of those tough days. And, you know, Leslie comes into my office and is like, go home. It helps a lot for me to create that good work-life balance with a good staff.
That's fantastic. And Susan Katzman, you said you had a question?
Just a real quick one. Allie, would you share with everybody about the greenhouse, about the commercial kitchen, and the food that's available for people to take home?
Yeah, so Urban Harvest STL is running our gardens. Urban Harvest has, they have gardens all over St. Louis. They specialize in food roofs, which is what we were actually going to do in the beginning. And then we scratched that idea because we do have so much space. We have 3.9 acres. So they grow all of our food. We've just installed a massive greenhouse so that we can grow food all year round. But one of the requirements with Urban Harvest is that we have to donate half the food we grow. So we have really been intentional about where we're giving the food to. So there are a lot of organizations in South City that we will drop food off at, but it's also food that we can give to our members to take home and cook themselves. We have a master chef in the kitchen who is going to be doing cooking classes. He's the one who makes all the grab and go meals. He works really closely with Urban Harvest so that they can combine their efforts. We now have chickens, so we have fresh eggs. We're going to have an orchard. We've got every vegetable you can think of. And so because of the greenhouse, we will be able to do that all year round.
Can I just put a plug in there that Urban Harvest is going to be speaking at our, and I'll say that later, at our Urban Garden event on May 13th. So there's another connection between NCJW and Rung. Thank you so much for everything, Allie, for all that you're doing and hopefully partnering with us in the future. And I just have some closing remarks before we pick our winner. We have a raffle that's going to happen at the very end. Susan will pick the winner. Our next coffee talk is Tuesday morning, May 25th. We have another special guest, Kalia Collier. She's the owner.
Oh, I love Kalia.
You'll have to come on.
She is so cool.
She's the owner of the St. Louis Surge women's pro basketball team and the new director of marketing of the St. Louis professional soccer team. She's young, she's energetic, and she's very connected to St. Louis. So she will be a really interesting special guest. And then we do, like I said, we have our Urban Garden event on May 13th. You can go on the website and register. Every person's going to get 3 pots that they can plant something different. And it would be a good event for people with kids too. We have our book club is this Wednesday, April 28th at 5:30. You can RSVP to Jen Bernstein. She'll provide the link. The book is The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. And then we have a Lunch and Learn Thursday, May 20th from noon to 1. They will watch and discuss segregated by design video details how our federal, state, and local governments segregated metropolitan areas, including St. Louis, by imposing unconstitutional residential policies. So we have a raffle for one lucky winner to take a tour of Rung and bring 2 people with them. We have every person's name cut up in strips, and Susan will pick our winner. And thank you, Allie, for doing that too, for inviting us in.
You know, Kalia works for my sister, so feel free to ask her any gossipy questions. Yeah.
We'll have your sister on as well for the next couple.
And the winner is Lee Braff.
Oh, wow.
Lee, are you with us
She's on.
today?
I see.
Yep.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
Good, that's great. So we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again, Allie, and thank you everyone for coming on. Hope you have a great day.
Well, and I just want to end with if you go on our website, we have sign up for tours. If you guys all wanted to come and do a tour, or we could set up 2 different ones. And we also have a link for our volunteer application on the website. So if any of you want to come out and check out the building, please feel free. We have dedicated days to that when we don't have members in the building. So it would be fun.
Thank you.
Great.
That would be great. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allie.
Stay
well, everybody.
Yeah.